Atlanta Season 3. That's right, it's been a little bit of a hiatus, but Donald Glover and his friends, I should have said everyone's name there, but whatever, you get it. They're back. Atlanta is back. Pretty much every one of the main cast in this show has done other things in this time, so I'm glad they're getting work. To have them come back, it feels like the reuniting with an old friend. And that's kind of what I wanted this season to be. It's just like, come on, we haven't seen them in a long time. What are they up to? Oh yeah, they went to Amsterdam. Oh yeah, they got a tour over in Europe. Oh yeah, that's where they are. This season is very interesting, and I think there is certainly some criticism you could have with the actual structure of this season. Personally, I don't think it's terrible. It is just definitely a lot of swings that they are taking. And that's something I always talk about. Take your chances. If you have a story to tell and you have the platform to do it, tell that story, get it out there, do whatever you want. That's cool. But sometimes when you are a highly anticipated show, there is a certain level of expectations that have to come with you returning to the airways. And I think this season really hit the mark sometimes and then really didn't hit the mark at any times, and that's kind of a problem. There are a lot of standout episodes in here. A lot of ones I've been thinking about on and off just from seeing them, and a lot of ones where I just went, okay, this didn't feel like you really had much to do. Was this filmed during COVID? I don't remember if it was. It could have been before or after. But it just felt like, okay, we are slowing down a little bit when we should be ramping up a little bit just to maybe see where these characters go. And there is some subtext to a lot of the stuff we are seeing. Sometimes it is obvious, sometimes it is not. But overall, it felt like there wasn't much of a narrative we were doing. This, more than any other season, was the anthology. And that's fine. Look, I loved the first two seasons. There was kind of a cohesive story going on in there. Not every character appeared in every episode, but you focused a lot on other people. You focused a lot on our main cast. And that was important. There's probably, out of the 10 episodes, 5 of them that are anthologies that don't really focus, maybe 4 or 5 that don't focus on any of our main 4. And then there are standalone ones where characters don't appear for a long time. I want to say Donald Glover's in maybe 4 episodes. I want to say Lakeith Stanfield's in maybe 4 episodes as well. They do not play central focus, and I understand that because it's Alfie's story at this point. Have him go into the world and learn things. He gets 2 really great episodes in here. There's one where his phone gets stolen, and he has like a really nice moment talking about what music means to him. There's another one where he takes some drugs, and he's kind of like walking down the streets of, was it Amsterdam? They're walking down the streets of some, very European place. And he's like tripping out and picturing like what his life is and how it's supposed to help him knowing certain people in his life, and it leads him to these really interesting areas. It's a very good episode. But there was really none for, like Darius. Like he had a great moment like with the Nigerian like food truck person and going to this restaurant. He's like, this is authentic Nigerian food. Corporation comes in and buys it out and turns it into a food truck. That's his only real big story in here, and maybe Lakeith had other things he was working on, so he couldn't film this season. But it felt very much like his storyline was pushed to the side, and Earn too didn't really have his big moments. We gave them to Van and Allie, but I'm like, that's fine. I don't really need that because he did direct like the last 3 episodes, so Don Glover was clearly involved in the process of this. It was pretty interesting. I don't know. Some parts I'm just like, this is a good anthology story. I know people have their problems with like the big payback, and I talked about that in my episode of the month. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. Trini to the Bone, I think, is another great concept that didn't hit its mark and maybe missed the point of what it was trying to say. But it was okay. Like that one I think was the weakest of the season. If I had to pick the strongest of the season, it might be the finale, Terrier. Like that was just a beautiful like send off to Van's character and like her storyline. I really liked that. There was so much intimacy and personality just thrown into there in like this weird kind of like absurdist way, Amelie style, and I'm like, this is kind of brilliant. I kind of enjoy this. Very fun. But also, he did a lot of just like weird standalone stuff, and there is some beautiful camera work and directing involved in there. The Oh, can I say that? I don't know. So the black and white episode who has a title that I don't know if I want to say the title. I don't think it's derogatory, but I just don't know if it's worth mentioning. The black and white episode that focuses on this young man who is Caucasian, who was raised by African American parents, and he maybe doesn't get a certain scholarship because of that. That is a very interesting episode that kind of deals with like a reverse racism. I think it's just a little too absurd for what this show tried to do. And I get it, like we had Teddy Perkins last season, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, wow, you are really leaning a little more into your absurdity than you are like your stoic storylines with like your character presentations. It's more like, let's do like a weird black and white thriller about these two guys chasing each other with flamethrowers. Maybe that's not inaccurate, but it just didn't feel authentically Atlanta at times. Very weird. I was okay with the stuff in Europe and Amsterdam and Paris. Like, that's fine. I get it. These characters are doing stuff now. Have them see the world. That's not a problem at all. I get that. I'm understanding of it. It works fine. It's kind of cool. It does lead to some interesting moments. Alfie definitely had the most going on this season, and he had a lot of other great moments. I think he was my favorite character this season. Just seeing his like progression, how he learns, how he adapts. It was very cool. I really did enjoy that. It was just a very fascinating season. It did a lot of things I liked. Like the camera work and the writing is still top notch. I think maybe the anthology story affected itself from hitting that next mark, from becoming the next thing. And that happens. You know, sometimes if you have too many ideas bouncing in your head, you maybe don't want to put them all in the one row. That feels kind of what happened here, because it opens up with this really interesting story of this kid who kind of gets taken away from his family. He goes to child services, goes with this weird lady who doesn't feed him right, and it kind of like kills him. It's a weird way to start it. And then it's like, okay, now here's the Amsterdam stuff. I'm like, nope, we're going back to the big payback. And it's like, okay, now we're back here. And it's like, nope, now we're treating to the bone. It's like, okay, now we're back here. And like, nope, now we're seeing this kid use a flamethrower. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing. A lot of that, but still good. Still Atlanta. I hope this next season, did they film them back to back? I don't remember, but I hope this next season is a really good send-off to this show, because if this was the last season we got, there is a lot of criticisms that could be had. I think it did enough to solidify certain character stories, but there's still stuff with Ern that needs to be done. There's still stuff with him and Van that need to be done. There's still stuff with Darius that we can explore. Should try to do a little bit more. And I don't know, maybe me criticizing the actual like flow of this show doesn't feel right. Maybe I should have listened to more interviews with these creators talking about this process, and they actually have more ideas coming down the pipeline. I just think from what we saw, a lot of it's good, a lot of it is a bold statement, or a lot of it's an idea that maybe didn't get fleshed out. I wish it just had a little bit more juice to it. Maybe pull back on some of these other storylines that we don't really need to connect to, and focus more on turning those into storylines of characters we know. Could be interesting, could be something to explore. But as it stands, I think the finale is my favorite episode. Really good show. Really great to see Atlanta come back. I can't complain about that. Just glad it exists again. So Atlanta Season 3, I am going to give an 8 out of 10. And thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. As always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Reinvest in your hood. Good luck.